Chapter 122. What a joke! She still knew a little about Jiang Yanran as she'd been roommates with her for quite some time, and at that point in time, their relationship hadn't soured yet. Just listening to all this, Mr. Jiang threw a big fit. Silly. Yanran, you're the apple of our eyes. How could you degrade yourself for a man? Without me, the Song family would be bankrupt. He should spoil my daughter like a princess. Instead, he treats you so poorly, as if you're a maid at his beck and call. Mrs. Jiang was in disbelief as well. Silly child. Why are you so silly? Why didn't you tell us? Yanran was worried that if she complained to you, Song Zihang would hate her even more. Yi Wanwan sobbed and continued in anger. After putting in so much effort, what did she get in the end? It was him enjoying Yanran's efforts with an easy conscience and uncle and auntie's financial support while he hooked up with Yanran's best friend. I couldn't take it any longer, so I made a post to condemn those two assholes. In the end, Song Zihang thought that Yanran was the one who posted it, so he scolded her with all sorts of awful things. He said that she was evil, cunning, and forced her to delete the post. Since the post wasn't deleted, Song Zihang actually made a clarification in the school's forum stating that he had nothing to do with Yanran and that the engagement didn't exist. He even said that he only liked Shen Mengqi alone from the beginning. Mr. Jiang's face became extremely gloomy. Is everything you said true? Completely true. Uncle, Auntie, the post is still here. Take a look and you'll know what happened. Yi Wanwan opened that post on her phone and placed it in front of them. Didn't Shen Mengqi enjoy telling on me? This time, I'll give her a taste of her own medicine. Both husband and wife quickly looked at the post. In the quiet dorm, there were only the voices of the arguing Shen Mengqi and Jiang Yanran from the video on the phone screen, listening to their daughter's despairing accusations with each word cutting them deeply. Mr. and Mrs. Jiang's hearts clenched. The clarification that Song Zihang posted later on ignited their fumes. Mr. Jiang was so mad that his voice shook. Yanran has nothing to do with him. The engagement was simply a joke by the elders. Great. What a great joke. Song Xiaowei, you've got a great son. Mrs. Jiang read the posts of the netizens mocking her daughter and was so angry that she cried. God. How could these people say these things about Yanran? It's Mommy's fault. Mommy's really sorry. Mommy didn't realize sooner. Mommy made you suffer so much. How upset must Yanran be after reading this? No wonder my daughter wanted to kill herself. All these people were too much. Jiang Yanran looked at her heartbroken parents and hurriedly soothed them. Mommy, it's all thanks to Wanwan for saving me this time. Due to some misunderstandings, our friendship hasn't been great, but after this incident, I finally realized who my true friend is. Mrs. Jiang held Yi Wanwan's hand gratefully. Good girl, thank you so much. It's nothing, Auntie, it's the least I could do. Mr. Jiang let out a long sigh. Yanran, it's a good thing that you can take this chance to see things more clearly. We can start all over again. All the things you've suffered, Mommy and Daddy will definitely get back at them for you. Don't you ever do anything so silly again. Chapter 123. Cruel and wicked. Your dad's right, Yanran. If anything happened to you, we wouldn't know how to continue living. Sorry, Mommy. I'm so selfish. I'll never do it again. Jiang Yanran let out a big cry in front of her parents and poured out all of her troubles. Yi Wanwan waited for the three of them to calm down a little before asking, Uncle, Auntie, how are you going to do her justice? Mr. Jiang snorted coldly. Obviously we'll go along with that Song family's cruel and wicked bastard's wish and call off the engagement. Jiang Yanran revealed a worried look, but both our families have had such a long relationship and have many intertwined businesses and projects. Mr. Jiang gave his daughter a reassuring look. Yanran, don't you worry about this and let Daddy handle it. Thankfully we found out now. If we were a day late, our 1 billion would have been transferred into the Song's account. I'd rather take the money and feed it to the dogs now than let them have it so easily. Seeing Mr. Jiang's reaction, Yi Wanwan was relieved. Mr. Jiang, you're awesome. Yanran, you have nothing to worry about anymore. You must pull yourself together for the sake of Uncle and Auntie. Wanwan's right, how could Daddy's daughter be so weak? We must never let others look down on us. Mrs. Jiang looked at her daughter on the bed with a worried look. What should we do now? We can't stay in school for too long. Yanran, would you like to come home with us for 2 days? Jiang Yanran shook her head and said firmly, Daddy, Mommy, I'm fine. I've thought things through and I don't want to interrupt my studies. Hearing their daughter say that, they thought she must have straightened things out. Both husband and wife were relieved. Wanwen, then we're going to have to trouble you to take care of Yanran for the time being. We really don't know how to thank you. It's all thanks to you. The couple thanked Yi Wanwan again and again. Then, since they were still worried about Yanran, they talked some more sense into her again for a while before they finally parted reluctantly. Although they hated to part with their daughter, they had to go back immediately to seek justice for her. After the couple left, Jiang Yanran suddenly looked towards Yi Wanwan earnestly. Yi Wanwan turned and asked, What is it? Jiang Yanran's eyes were slightly red. Thank you so much. If it wasn't for Yi Wanwan with my character, I would have probably kept this from Mommy and Daddy. Even if I came around to telling them, it'd be too late then. Yi Wanwan smiled and teased, You can't just thank me verbally. If you really want to thank me, then you have to devote your body to me. Jiang Yanran was amused. Got it. If I enter the entertainment field in future, I'll definitely turn to you. I could tell just from today that your acting skills surpass those of even the top actors and your PR crisis-solving skills are top-notch. That's right, good call. Yi Wanwan nodded as she agreed and said casually, All right, since we've settled things with your parents, you don't have to worry about anything now. Just put on a facial mask and have a good night's rest. Ask the teacher for a break tomorrow too. Rest a little and readjust your state of mind. We'll start with step 2 after school tomorrow. Step 2? Jiang Yanran was surprised. Giving you your makeover? Yi Wanwan nodded earnestly. TSK, I just remembered that after school tomorrow, He's going to have a basketball match against the neighboring high school. It's the best chance to stir something up. Chapter 124. My boyfriend's skills. Do we have to? Jiang Yanran hesitated. Although she had complete trust in Yi Wanwan, this was really... Yi Wanwan shot her a look and handed a mirror over. Do you want to look like an abandoned wife in front of everybody in school and get laughed at? Of course not, but can you really do it? Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin. If I mess up, I'll shave my head bald to accompany you. Speaking of which, I've never tried going bald before. Seeing Yi Wanwan's expression, it seemed like she looked forward to trying that look. Jiang Yanran was speechless and the corners of Jiang Yanran's mouth twitched. No thanks. Yi Wanwan placed an arm over her shoulder and started speaking with confidence. Stop looking like the 5 heroes on Langya Mountain preparing to be martyred. 1. All right. I have very good taste. Let's take you as an example. You're not suited for that innocent and pure white lotus look. Just look at your chest. Could you ever look innocent? You still want to copy Shen Mengqi and go with that innocent style. You need to know your own body better, okay? Jiang Yanran suddenly covered her chest and blushed. Yi Wanwan. Pervert, I'm speaking the truth, okay? Yi Wanwan glanced several times, drooling. Trust me, you're more suited for the enchanting and alluring, radiating and domineering queen look. Firstly, you'll need to change your boring straight black hair. You have thin hair, so this hairstyle looks like you have seaweed glued to your hair. Do you know how ugly it is? Anyway, you just have to listen to me once you get to the hairdresser's tomorrow. Jiang Yanran thought about it. If her hair was ruined, she could just wear a hat, so she agreed, as long as you don't make me dye my hair green, I'm fine with it. Do as you wish. Are you sure? Even if I want you to cut your hair short? Yi Wanwan asked. Jiang Yanran laughed. I don't even want that man anymore. Why would I be sad over this hair that I kept for him? Yi Wanwan nodded, pleased. Not bad, not bad. You're worthy of being my student. One night went by. Jiang Yanran didn't return to her dorm. Instead, she slept over at Yi Wanwan's place. When Yi Wanwan woke up the next morning, she didn't wake Yanran up. Instead, she washed up quietly and left for class. As they went to bed late last night, Yi Wanwan was very sleepy. Once she reached class, she laid on the desk to catch up on her sleep. On the contrary, the Xia, who was usually asleep, looked very energetic. He even arrived earlier than her today. Seeing Yi Wanwan arrive, the teenager's eyes seemed to light up and he handed her a small slice of exquisitely decorated cake which looked like a piece of art. Wanwan, have you had your breakfast? This almond cake is delicious. Do you want to try it? It was the gentle voice of the hunk of many girls' dreams, but to Yi Wanwan, it felt more like the voice of a life-seizing devil. I don't like almonds. Upon hearing that Yi Wanwan didn't like almonds, Xixia's face stiffened for a fleeting moment. What do you like, then? Yi Wanwan was on the verge of collapsing as she answered dryly, there's too many to say. I'm begging you, man. Don't talk to me anymore. Do you know how many people are staring at me right now? Seeing that Yi Wanwan was in a bad mood, Xixia frowned. Wanwan, you didn't sleep well last night? Yi Wanwan took a deep breath. This can't go on. Looks like I need to use my ultimate move. Thus, Yi Wanwan kept her head down and continued to lie on the table as she blurted out, yeah, I didn't sleep well because my boyfriend's too skilled. Next to her, there was a gust of cold wind and a dead stillness. A complete silence. Chapter 125. Remarkably effective. Yi Wanwan didn't care to see her deskmate's reaction and fell asleep peacefully. In a daze, she had a dream. There were sounds of gunshots, explosions and screaming everywhere. She could only see fresh blood and blazing fires all over the place. She was already exhausted but had to keep running and running. Her surroundings were filled with fearful people and there were people dying next to her continuously. She could be next. The smell of death was getting closer and closer. She wasn't sure how long she ran for, but the road seemed never-ending. Finally, she reached a dead end and there was only a cliff up ahead. Behind her was a dark vortex and in front was a murderous aura getting closer and closer to her. She couldn't retreat, so she took out a knife and cut those people's necks one by one. Fresh blood soaked the earth. Ring, the bell rang. It was the start of class. Yi Wanwan woke up in a shock, her whole body drenched in cold sweat. Damn it. Why did I have this nightmare again? Ever since she'd gone through that terrifying attack overseas, she dreamt of this scary and gruesome image frequently. However, she wasn't afraid of those images. Instead, she was frightened by her cold-blooded and ferocious eyes in the dream. It didn't feel like myself in the dream. Beside her, Xixia noticed that Yi Wanwan seemed to have a nightmare and he furrowed his brows like he was about to say something. But then, the unexpected "my boyfriend's too skilled" popped into his head and like a curse stopping him from speaking, he immediately shut his mouth. As her ultimate move was remarkably effective, Yi Wanwan had peace for the whole day. After school, she immediately headed back to the dormitories to look for Jiang Yanran. As there was a basketball match in school that day, there were many people who wanted to watch, so the class monitor gave them a day off and they didn't have rehearsal today. After she went back, Yi Wanwan looked at her normally empty dormitory that was filled with things. Jiang Yanran, who was packing her things, saw that Yi Wanwan had returned and spoke apprehensively, I've requested for a change of dormitory from the teacher. Since I'm on leave today, I brought my stuff over. If you have problems living with me, I'll request for some other arrangement. Yi Wanwan didn't mind, but she was slightly worried. What if Si Han appears again like last time? Jiang Yanran would have a big scare. Forget it, I'll just give Si Han a call later. Having a roommate's not a bad thing anyway. It's a legitimate reason and I won't have to be scared that he'll appear suddenly anymore. Why would I mind? I would have allowed you to stay over even if you didn't mention it. With her situation, she definitely can't stay with Shen Mengqi any longer. After Yi Wanwan spoke, she looked at Jiang Yanran and asked, oh yes, can I ask you something? Does Chu Feng from the neighboring Jinxiu School's basketball team have a crush on you? How did you know? Jiang Yanran was a little taken aback. I saw his love letter to you in the garbage, Yi Wanwan replied. Jiang Yanran was stunned and felt slightly awkward, but she didn't deny it. He did write me a love letter to confess. At the time, I was in love with Song Zihang and didn't care about him. Why did you suddenly bring this up? Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin and said, send him a text and ask him out for dinner. Jiang Yanran froze. Huh? But I'm not interested in him at all. Actually, I'm not interested in anybody. Anyway, I just fell out with Song Zihang. Is this good timing? Yi Wanwan naturally knew what she was worried about. She held her hand and spoke earnestly, my dear, how would you know if you haven't tried? The best way to forget a relationship is to start a new one. Most importantly, as long as you believe me and do what I say, I promise that Song Zihang will definitely be so pissed that he'll vomit blood. Chapter 126. Why don't you broaden your horizons? Let me tell you. You thought you couldn't live without him, thought he was your entire world when in fact, you were just sitting in a silo, limiting yourself. It's such a big world. Why don't you broaden your horizons instead of clinging onto Song Zihang? Chu Feng came from a good family. He was good in his studies and sports as well. He was also way better looking than Song Zihang, which was enough to spite Song Zihang for sure. On one hand, she suggested it to spite Song Zihang, but on the other hand, she was worried about Jiang Yanran. Given Jiang Yanran's character, even if she decided to not commit suicide, this incident must have traumatized her greatly. With her paranoid temperament, she might never trust a man anymore. It'd be great if Jiang Yanran and Chu Feng worked out, but if they didn't, it'd be good to have her attention diverted as well. In fact, there were quite a number of people who were interested in Jiang Yanran. She could only remember Chu Feng because in her previous life, after Jiang Yanran took her own life, Song Zihang immediately invested in a big production and specifically requested to have Shen Mengqi as the lead actress. At the premiere of that movie, Chu Feng suddenly ran up on stage like a madman and beat Song Zihang up. That incident was very serious and everybody gossiped about it. It was said that afterwards, Song Zihang started legal proceedings against him but was unsuccessful as Chu Feng had a strong family backing, so they ended things amicably. She could still remember that man's raging and mourning expression on the screen to this day. At that point, it had been a few years after Jiang Yanran got married, but this man still kept thinking about her after all those years. Thus, Yi Wanwan felt that this man wasn't bad and was worth a shot. Upon hearing what Yi Wanwan said, Jiang Yanran smiled bitterly as she mocked herself. How could Song Zihang be pissed? Although that was what she said, in the end, she still listened to Yi Wanwan. Maybe Yi Wanwan's right. I should broaden my horizons. Yi Wanwan let out a sigh of relief after witnessing Jiang Yanran send the text. Then, she eyed her from head to toe and frowned. Don't tell me you're wearing this today? What's wrong? These are the nicest clothes I have. I picked these out on purpose today. Jiang Yanran said. Yi Wanwan let out a long sigh. It's more like she's the one with problems with her aesthetic taste. Could her fashion sense be any worse? It's plain white and unflattering like an old rag. How is that nice? It's the most trendy piece now. Artistic ghastly girl in a cloth kind of style, is it? Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes and dug around Jiang Yanran's wardrobe. With one look, she took out a floral dress. Change into this. There were large vintage flowers imprinted on it, but it wasn't over the top. It was attractive, young and vibrant, suited for her style and age. On other people it would look quite dull, but on Jiang Yanran, she could definitely pull it off. Jiang Yanran looked at the dress, slightly taken aback. You really know how to pick them. This is my most expensive dress. My mother gave it to me on my birthday. It's brand C's limited edition set. But the colors are too loud and showy, so I've never worn it before. Go try it, go try it. I want to see it. Yi Wanwan stared at her with her eyes glistening, face full of anticipation. Jiang Yanran laughed in annoyance. All right. No matter how hard her mother tried to convince her in the past, she never tried on anything that Song Zihang wouldn't like. But as for Yi Wanwan, though she knew very well that she didn't have the best taste, she had some inexplicable trust towards her. Chapter 127. Transformation. Are you done? Do you need help? Yi Wanwan asked impatiently as Jiang Yanran had been inside for over 10 minutes and hadn't come out. Jiang Yanran's uncertain voice came from the bathroom. Wanwan, I think I'll change out of it. I feel weird. Yi Wanwan couldn't wait any longer, so she simply pushed the door open and went in. Seeing Jiang Yanran in that dress, Yi Wanwan was stunned. Although she knew that Jiang Yanran was definitely suited for it, she was still surprised. Damn. I knew you had a good figure. But I didn't expect it to be this good. Usually, Jiang Yanran preferred to wear oversized, artsy clothes that didn't accentuate her figure at all. However, the style of this dress showed all of Jiang Yanran's assets. Yi Wanwan thought how well suited this dress was as Mrs. Jiang's gift as a rite of passage for her 18-year-old daughter. Looking at the reflection of Jiang Yanran in the mirror, Yi Wanwan had the sense of a young girl breaking out of her cocoon to become a butterfly. "You're teasing me again," Jiang Yanran cried. Watching Jiang Yanran's annoyed and ashamed expression, Yi Wanwan laughed. "I'm speaking the truth, okay?" Since Jiang Yanran was still young, it was still too early for her to have the aura of a domineering queen. But right now, she was like a budding flower, revealing the charms of a woman while displaying a teenager's innocence. It was even more moving. "Don't worry, trust me, it's not weird at all. You're just not used to it. If you want to talk about weird, it would be that your hairstyle and your temperament don't match at all. Pack up and let's head to the hairdresser's." "Are you sure?" "I'm definitely sure. Do you want me to propose this idea to you with 10,000 more words?" "All right then. Let's go, let's go." They quickly packed up and Yi Wanwan dragged Jiang Yanran out of the door eagerly. As many people would be gathered at the school's basketball court to watch the match, most other public places would be empty. At the hair salon, Yi Wanwan made the hairdresser follow her request strictly and changed Jiang Yanran's hairstyle. The hairdresser was initially quite annoyed at Yi Wanwan's pretense in knowing anything about hairstyling and bossing him around. But in the end result left him speechless. The girl in the mirror changed her dreary and boring straight black hair into a head of honey-colored loose curls reaching her collarbone, making her appear more radiant and fashionable. Initially, he thought that it would be an awkward length, and he also didn't understand what Yi Wanwan meant by unawakened curls. Who knew that the end result would be so fantastic? With just a change in hairstyle, the girl in front looked as if she'd transformed into a different person, attracting the eye of any passerby. "Miss, you're good. Where did you find this hairstyle? It's really nice." The hairdresser had nothing more to say. What he couldn't figure out was that although this girl clearly had good aesthetic taste, why did she make herself look like that? At this moment, seeing her own reflection in the mirror, Jiang Yanran seemed to have lost her senses too. She had very little self-confidence, and after finding out about Song Zihang and Shin Mengqi, she felt even more self-conscious. She kept thinking that Yi Wanwan was simply trying to make her feel better with her compliments. "I never knew there's this side of me. What is it? Are you blown away by your own beauty?" Yi Wanwan laughed. "It looks really good," Jiang Yanran nodded honestly. After all, as a girl, seeing herself become better looking brightened up her mood. "More like stunning, okay? The big transformation is done. Let's head over to the basketball court and find a good seat." Yi Wanwan was secretly ecstatic. Chapter 128, Isn't He Silly? Today's basketball match was the last match for the seniors. It was a farewell match, so it was particularly packed with people. Yi Wanwan stood by the entrance and scanned the court. She could see the two teams warming up but couldn't find Chu Feng. He probably hadn't arrived yet. As for Song Zihang, his tall and big body stood out conspicuously in the second row of the arena. Sitting with him were Shin Mengqi, Fang Qin, and a few other girls from Class A. Those girls looked at Song Zihang with gleaming eyes, full of worship. But in Song Zihang's eyes, there was only Shin Mengqi. Song Zihang trained his eyes on the girls in front of him and spoke somewhat emotionally. "Thank you for coming to cheer for us." "Ha, Captain Song. You mean to thank Mengqi for coming to watch your match? We're just here incidentally." With Mengqi's support, today will definitely be Captain Song's home game. We'll wipe out Jin Xiu completely. That's for sure. It's the power of love. Shen Mengqi wore a long light green dress today, looking very fresh and elegant. She blushed as she shot a look at the crowd teasing her, "Stop messing around. It's only right to cheer for our own school's basketball team." Yi Wanwan observed from a distance as she clicked her tongue. Jiang Yanran brought water and food and washed the clothes for the entire basketball team but didn't even get a single word of praise. Shen Mengqi, on the other hand, merely sat there to watch a match, and he was beyond touched. "Are you okay?" Yi Wanwan glanced at Jiang Yanran, worried. Jiang Yanran took a deep breath and looked away from those two people flirting with each other. "I'm fine, let's go." Ever since he posted that reply on the forum, Song Zihang had been unscrupulously courting Shin Mengqi. The two of them walked in a single file towards seats in the front row. The spectators on the basketball court started whispering once they saw Yi Wanwan, but Yi Wanwan already had quite the reputation, so everybody wasn't too interested in her. Very quickly, everybody's attention turned towards the girl behind her. Everybody's eyes lit up the moment they saw Jiang Yanran. Especially the guys. Wow. Look, a beauty. Which class is this beauty from? How come I've never seen her before? Isn't this Jiang Yanran from Class A? She's just had a change of hairstyle and clothes. Damn, I must be blind. I didn't expect that Jiang Yanran would be so stunning. Her figure's fantastic too. The commotion in the basketball court quickly attracted Shin Mengqi and Song Zihang's attention from the first row, and they turned and looked behind them. Song Zihang only faintly heard someone saying Jiang Yanran before feeling a sense of revulsion subconsciously. Could it be that this woman hasn't given up on me and is coming over to pester me some more? Song Zihang wrinkled his brows as his gaze followed the crowd. In the next second, he was completely stunned. In front of him was a girl in a bright vintage printed floral dress, the fabric displaying her perfect figure and her brown curls making her look beautiful and alluring, no longer looking depressingly plain like before. This girl who's so stunning that she's making every guy speechless is Jiang Yanran. Song Zihang couldn't believe his own eyes. At this moment, the chattering around them got louder, especially after seeing Song Zihang and Shin Mengqi. Hey, don't you find Jiang Yanran much prettier than Shin Mengqi? Shin Mengqi was certainly a beauty with her appearance, especially with the right makeup and clothes, but compared to the alluring Jiang Yanran, she suddenly looked really plain. She's much prettier, definitely. You can't tell usually. To think about it, Jiang Yanran comes from a better family than Shin Mengqi. Her father's a famous director and her mother's a well-known screenwriter, while Shin Mengqi's father used to be a chauffeur for Yi Wanwan. Don't you find Song Zihang silly? Giving up on such a wealthy beauty with a good family who was so loyal to him for a country bumpkin? All these comments naturally reached the ears of Song Zihang and Shin Mengqi. Song Zihang's face darkened while Shin Mengqi's face turned totally pale. Chapter 129. You're the embarrassed one. All these comments naturally reached the ears of Song Zihang and Shin Mengqi. Song Zihang's face darkened while Shin Mengqi's face turned totally pale. How could she accept the fact that one of her sidekicks was actually the center of attention and even being used to mock her? Jiang Yanran normally treated her very well and even helped her quite a bit, but what she hated most was her arrogant attitude now, exactly what she hated in Yi Wanwan previously. Just because her father was the Yi family chauffeur, she had to follow that big missy around like an attendant to please and appease her like she was her ancestor. She was even forced to stay back a year in school with her. Those comments from the people around them were stabbing her in places that hurt the most. The look of surprise in Song Zihang's eyes just now made her expression darken even further. Damn it, why is this completely different from what I imagined? With Jiang Yanran's character, after being jilted by Song Zihang recently, how could she be in the mood to doll up and look so radiant? This style of dress also wasn't what she'd usually go for. She knew Jiang Yanran very well, and she would never wear something so flashy. Shen Mengqi couldn't figure out the sudden change in Jiang Yanran. Could it be due to the trauma? She quickly stopped her train of thought and turned to Jiang Yanran with a worried look. Yanran, where did you go the past 2 days? We were looking for you everywhere. You didn't answer our calls and we didn't see your things in the dorm when we came back. We were all worried sick, afraid that something happened to you. With Shen Mengqi looking like a beauty in tears, if you didn't know better, you'd think that the person jilted and attacked by rumors was her. Jiang Yanran looked at Shen Mengqi's pretense coldly. Thank you so much for caring about me. Yi Wanwan, who was leaning against the seat at the front row, blinked and asked innocently, Mengqi, were you very worried about Yanran? Shen Mengqi was suspicious as to why Yi Wanwan came together with Jiang Yanran, but she didn't think much about it and thought it was a coincidence. She immediately replied hastily, how could I not be worried? Yanran's my best friend too. Yi Wanwan revealed a doubtful look and said softly, you still had the mood to come for a basketball match when you're so worried. Yi Wanwan looked as if she was talking to herself, but her words were loud enough for everyone around them to hear. Shen Mengqi's face changed instantly and she secretly glared at Yi Wanwan. She hurriedly explained, Wanwan, it's not like that. It's because today's match is so important, I just want… Yi Wanwan interrupted her before she could finish, and she nodded with an understanding look. Me too, I think this match is really important too. I've been waiting for this match for so long. It's such a pity if I didn't watch it. Yi Wanwan's comment seemed harmless, but it was obviously hinting at the crowd. To Shen Mengqi, a match was more important than the life of her so-called best friend. Upon hearing Yi Wanwan's silly comments, everybody around suddenly sniggered and burst out in mocking laughter. I suddenly find Shen Mengqi really fake now. That's right. Acting like she has a deep relationship with her best friend and looking like she was worried to death when in the end, she's here flirting with Song Zihang. I think she can't wait for Jiang Yanran to die so that she can cling to this big tree that's Song Zihang. I heard that the Song family will be working with the government on a big project. Their assets will multiply 10-folds instantly. Chapter 130. I won't let you be bullied. Shen Mengqi clenched her fist tightly and called Yi Wanwan an idiot in her heart countless times. A look of hurt appeared on her face as she explained with reddened eyes, it's not like that. I thought that since Yan Ran likes Captain Song so much and today's match was so important, Yan Ran might come to the basketball court, so I came to try my luck. Yi Wanwan was fascinated as she listened. She was wrapped in admiration with Shen Mengqi's ability to twist the facts to justify herself. Jiang Yanran lost without injustice. When he saw how hurt and embarrassed Shen Mengqi looked, Song Zihang protected her instantly. Thinking about how the Song family was no longer what it was before, he steeled himself and looked at Jiang Yanran in anger. Jiang Yanran, have you had enough? You were the one who spoiled and made everybody around you worried, yet you're still blaming Mengqi now. You think every single person in this world revolves around you, rich princess? Tis K revolves around her? All these years, exactly who was the one revolving around whom? Jiang Yanran looked at how Song Zihang scolded her indignantly to protect Shen Mengqi, and her heart was overwhelmed with sadness. I must have been crazy to think that after so many years of feelings, this man would care about me. Seeing Jiang Yanran biting her lips, Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes and said to Song Zihang, Captain Song, why were you scolding Yanran? Didn't she just thank Mengqi for caring about her? Even if you like Mengqi, you shouldn't be so unfair towards Yanran, right? Even as Mengqi's good friend, I can't tolerate this. This comment by Yi Wanwan successfully created some doubts. Everybody witnessed Jiang Yanran only commenting once from beginning to end while Shen Mengqi was busy acting pitiful, and Song Zihang actually scolded Jiang Yanran out of the blue just for her. I thought that Jiang Yanran was useless, so she got jilted by him. Now I know the reason why. Some people are just too good at acting. When Yi Wanwan finished speaking, she turned to Shen Mengqi and asked, Mengqi, do you think I'm right? What Captain Song said was too unreasonable. At this moment, Shen Mengqi was so frustrated by Yi Wanwan that she wanted to vomit blood. This damn idiot, shut up if you don't know how to talk. She's causing trouble for me with every word that comes out from her mouth today, and I have no clue how to speak logically with this idiot. To protect her pure and perfect image, Shen Mengqi could only hold it in. Captain Song, don't blame Yanran, it was all my fault. Song Zihang was about to speak, but the match started and his coach was rushing him. Mengqi, I gotta go. Go on then, all the best. Shen Mengqi said shyly. At first, she thought Song Zihang was just an average guy, mostly because Jiang Yanran liked him, but according to the news she heard recently, the Song family appeared to be quite a good connection to have. We'll definitely win. I'll give the trophy to you as a gift. After speaking, Song Zihang went to the court with confidence. Everyone who was crowding around to watch the drama went back to their seats as well and focused on the match. Yi Wanwan and Jiang Yanran sat in the empty seats a row behind Shen Mengqi, diagonally across her. Jiang Yanran sat on the chair wearily as she murmured, bashing herself, Thank you, I suddenly find myself so useless. Yi Wanwan chuckled softly, Girl, you've performed so well today. Your utter lack of regard was the best defense against them. If you kept arguing with them like a resentful woman, that would have been a disaster. Leave it to me to embarrass her. Since I dared to bring you here, I won't let you be bullied. Chapter 131. Your concentration's too weak. Boy, hearing Yi Wanwan's protective tone, there was a warmth in Jiang Yanran's heart and she smiled. This is the first time I realize that you're so cunning. Shen Mengqi doesn't even know that she's been ridiculed and she actually thought that Yi Wanwan's dumb. Thanks for the praise, hey. Chu Feng. Yi Wanwan's sharp eyes caught the handsome boy walking out from the rest area. All she saw was a boy in a blue and white basketball jersey with naturally wavy, short, dark brown hair and a headband around his forehead. His exposed muscles were defined and not exaggerated, and his excellent looks were unusually conspicuous amongst the group of boys. Ah, Chu Feng. That's Senior Chu Feng. Senior Chu Feng's so handsome. The juniors from the lower levels couldn't restrain themselves and were already screaming. Even some girls from Qinghe were screaming. On Jin Xiu's basketball team, Chu Feng wasn't famed for his basketball skills. He was a total amateur at basketball, but he was the most good-looking. However, compared to his normal carefree attitude, Chu Feng's condition today was completely different. The boy's gaze was sharp and he walked to his team with a serious expression. Since his earnest look was different from usual, it made all the girls scream. Yi Wanwan was about to praise him as well, but then, the boy seemed to be fine, but a split second later, he suddenly staggered and almost fell. Yi Wanwan was sure that the moment Chu Feng fell, he took a glance in Jiang Yanran's direction. Your concentration's too weak, boy. Yi Wanwan groaned. You almost fell with just one look. How are you going to play in the match later? The spectators gave a good-natured laugh and cheered. Do your best, Chu Feng. The hunk's stumbling was quite cute. Jiang Yanran looked at the boy scratching his head awkwardly on the court, his expression somewhat shocked. Although she had already decided to give him a try, with her current state, she really couldn't get into another relationship so quickly. However, when she saw the boy's awkward and embarrassed expression, he didn't seem as repulsive as she thought. Jiang Yanran was looking in the direction of Chu Feng and strangely felt a hot glare upon her as she met Song Zihang's gaze. Song Zihang was actually looking at me? It must be my imagination. He was probably looking at Shen Mengqi just now. Yi Wanwan noticed that Jiang Yanran was looking at Song Zihang and immediately reminded her, Where are you looking, babe? From now on, your line of vision can only be on Chu Feng. You're not allowed to look at Song Zihang at all. Remember this. Jiang Yanran regained her senses and nodded, Yup. From where they were sitting, Yi Wanwan could see Song Zihang's teammates were crowding around him and grinning like they were teasing him. The group of guys turned to look at Shen Mengqi and Jiang Yanran from time to time. Boss, you've got a lot of luck with love. You have two beauties rushing over to cheer you on and even fighting over you. We're so jealous. You'll have enough even if you give one to me. Seriously speaking, this is the first time I realized that Ms. Jiang was so pretty. Her figure's great too. I think she's on par with Shen Mengqi. Boss, you really don't want to reconsider? Heh, keep them both, boss. Which man doesn't like the attention of beautiful women? His teammates' comments completely stroked his ego and even made him find Jiang Yanran more pleasing to the eye. Anyway, Jiang Yanran looked stunning today. Song Zihang had a look of content. All right, let's not joke around anymore. The match is about to start. We have to win this time. Got it? Got it. Song Zihang, who was busy stirring up his teammates, didn't notice a blazing glare upon him coming from the opposite Jin Xiu team. Chapter 132. Overexcited. The whistle blew and the match officially started. Yi Wanwan took out the popcorn, Coke and fried chicken that she prepared from her bag. She ate in delight while watching the match. Her insatiable appetite was one of the biggest reasons why she decided to be a manager instead of an artist. If her diet had to be restrained, if she was refrained from eating this and that, then what's the point in living? She wondered whether the vegetation in Jin Garden had sprouted or not and wondered what they looked like, along with her chicks, little fish and little grapes. Yi Wanwan got distracted for a little bit, while the score on the court was already at 11 o'clock. Qinghe 11 points, Jin Xiu 0 points. What's happening? Yi Wanwan was shocked. Jiang Yanran shook her head. I'm not sure, Chu Feng doesn't seem to be in good shape today. Yi Wanwan quickly looked towards Chu Feng. She saw that he kept making numerous mistakes and his footwork was as messy as a drunkard's. He had quite a bit of energy just now. What happened? Being in front of the girl he likes, shouldn't that give him a burst of power to take down his love rival? This guy. Could it be that he's overexcited? My head hurts. I pinned my hopes on him to take down Song Zihang today. Ah, it's not the wine that intoxicates but the drinker who gets himself drunk. The guy was wrong. Yen Ran, don't stare at him anymore. When she heard the teasing in Yi Wanwan's voice, Jiang Yen Ran looked away shyly. However, once Jiang Yen Ran looked away, his condition worsened. Yi Wanwan was some distance away but she could hear the rasping voice from the coach of Jin Xiu who was on the verge of breaking down. Damn you mother Chu Feng, you bastard. Did you take the wrong meds today? Playing like some dog shit. Bastard, get over here. I'll talk about life with you. The coach used the entire 2 minutes break during the second half to scold Chu Feng. The boy sunk his head low as he scratched his head. He didn't even dare lift his head to glance at the spectators. Finally, Jin Xiu couldn't recover their losses in the first half and the match ended at 23:6. Yi Wanwan shut her eyes as she could hardly bear to look. Next was the halftime break of 15 minutes. All the girls from Qinghe cheered and rushed to the court to give the team water and towels and showered them with concern, while over at Jin Xiu, the atmosphere was gloomy. Damn. What's wrong with Jin Xiu? Why are they playing like that? They were beaten so badly that I couldn't even watch. It can't be helped, Qinghe's basketball team has always been quite strong. But we can't lose so badly, right? What's wrong with Senior Chu Feng today? Is he feeling sick? Unwell my ass. More like his soul was emptied. Yi Wanwan totally didn't foresee that he'd be so lousy. If this carried on, her plan today would be ruined. We can only fight poison with poison now. Chapter 133, He Stole My Wife. On the court at this moment, the captain of Jin Xiu placed his arm around Chu Feng and spoke earnestly to tug at his heart. Chu Feng, what's going on with you today? Are you heartbroken? You're the one who's heartbroken, your whole family's heartbroken. Chu Feng exploded suddenly. The captain was speechless. If you're not heartbroken, then why are you so distracted? Why do you look like a husband who just got dumped? Seeing that Song Zihang was surrounded by a group of beauties, the captain was filled with envy. Damn. As the saying goes, comparisons only cause suffering. Why does Song Zihang have such a good life? After Jiang Yenran came Shenmingqi, they're all beauties. Look at him, Chu Feng, you're putting your good looks to waste. Although Chu Feng was handsome, he'd never been in a relationship and he didn't even have a girl he fancied, much less loved. Once, he almost thought that he might be gay. The captain was busy mocking him when he noticed something wrong with Chu Feng's expression, especially when he saw Jiang Yenran walking towards Song Zihang. The way Chu Feng stared at Song Zihang was as if he was about to murder him. The captain felt that something wasn't right with him, so he quickly held him back. Buddy, what are you trying to do now? Why do you look so scary? I noticed there's something weird about the way you looked at Song Zihang. Does he owe you money? Chu Feng, he stole my wife. At the same time over at Qinghe's basketball team, Captain Song, you're so awesome. Senior, you're the best. Keep beating Qin Xiu in the next half and make them look for their teeth all over the place. Zihang, have some water. Shen Mingqi passed a water bottle over. With Song Zihang surrounded by fangirls, Shen Mingqi brought him water and a towel herself, and even switched from calling him Captain Song to Zihang. Song Zihang had never felt so happy before. He was rarely bold enough to hold Shen Mingqi's hand in front of everybody, but he did today. Mingqi, wait till I place the trophy in your hands. If I win today, will you? Song Zihang hadn't finished when someone around him exclaimed towards the nearby spectators, Jiang Yenran. Jiang Yenran's coming as well. Wow, two girls fighting for a guy, this is going to be a good show. Song Zihang's eyes sparkled when he saw the girl's dainty and curvy figure. Jiang Yenran's not bad as well. Her family background and even appearance don't lose to Shen Mingqi at all. It's just that her personality's too boring. There's no meaning and excitement after a while, but now. At this moment, every player from Qing he looked at Song Zihong with eyes of envy as they started teasing Jiang Yanran. Hey, Missy Jiang. Bringing water to boss again? Heh, you even dolled up so prettily just for boss today. Boss is just too good looking. Missy Jiang, you're too stingy. Why'd you only bring one bottle? What about us? Usually, Jiang Yanran was too nice to the basketball team and invested quite a bit of money in them, causing these people to take her for granted. Naturally, Shen Mingqi noticed the way that Song Zihong was looking at Jiang Yanran. She gritted her teeth but walked over in a calm and friendly manner. Yan, you're here. I wanted to call you along just now but was afraid that you were still mad at me. Hurry and come over, we're all waiting for you. Chapter 134. Where is this place? Who am I? Song Ziheng glanced at Shen Mingqi, obviously very happy with her. Only this kind of generous and sensible woman is suitable to be with me in the future, but the jealous type like Jiang Yanran can look quite cute at times. Song Ziheng also realized that he was too harsh towards her before, so he walked to Jiang Yanran voluntarily, looking friendlier, but he still spoke with an air of superiority. Yanran, I know how you feel towards me, but we can't force love. The way you harassed me in the past made me very uncomfortable, but we've known each other for such a long time, so as long as you don't do such drastic things next time and stop hurting Mengqi, we can still be friends. Jiang Yanran stood expressionless in front of Shen Mengqi and Song Ziheng, and she spoke in an annoyed tone. A good dog doesn't block the way. Could you please make way? Both Shen Mengqi and Song Ziheng froze. Jiang Yanran didn't care about either of them and simply turned away. She continued walking forward with the bottle of water in her hand. Seeing this, the people around them were stunned and they looked at one another, speechless. Where's Jiang Yanran heading to? Maybe she wasn't looking for Song Ziheng? Who else could she be looking for other than Song Ziheng? Isn't she headed towards Jin Xiu's basketball team? Under the gaze of countless curious people, Jiang Yanran walked towards Jin Xiu's basketball team. Not only the people from Qing but all the dejected basketball players from Jin Xiu were dumbfounded, seeing a pretty girl walking in their direction. What? A pretty girl? Whose girl is this? I'm not sure. She looks like a girl from Qing. One of the guys with blonde hair pushed through the crowd and walked up to Jiang Yanran gallantly. Who are you looking for, beauty? Isn't that Jiang Yanran? What's she doing here? The basketball captain, who was still counseling Chu Feng, mumbled suspiciously. The moment things quieted down, everyone could hear Jiang Yanran's response. I'm looking for Chu Feng. Chu Feng, who? Chu Feng? The captain turned to Chu Feng in shock, and Chu Feng's expression was totally blank. His ears turned red and his breath was racing like he had just run 3 kilometers. The boy with blonde hair was instantly disappointed when he heard her reply. Huh, no way. She's actually looking for Chu Feng, the cancer in our team. Ouch, who kicked me? He was kicked by Chu Feng behind him immediately after he finished speaking. Chu Feng was so nervous that he nearly moved forward with the same arm and leg and even pretended to be calm and strong as he walked towards Jiang Yanran. Yanran? Are you looking for me? Jiang Yanran nodded. What's the matter? Chu Feng thought he was finished. It must be due to his bad performance just now that he has to die now before gaining victory. After some time, just as Chu Feng had filled up his brain with the words dead 100 times, Jiang Yanran passed the bottle of water to him. For you? Chu Feng was speechless. It was as if he'd been transported from the dead of winter to spring when the flowers were blooming. The boy took the bottle of water like he was accepting the imperial seal of China. He was overwhelmed with emotions. Thank you. After Jiang Yanran gave him the water, she glanced at the spectator stand subconsciously and saw that Yuanwan was mouthing exaggeratedly to remind her to move on to the next step. Jiang Yanran didn't have a choice. She thought about how she was partly responsible for him playing so badly today, so she followed whatever Yuanwan told her to do. Jiang Yanran lifted the white towel in her hands and gently wiped the sweat on the boy's forehead and then said, Do your best. Chu Feng, who am I? Where is this place? Why are there so many little flowers in front of me? Chapter 135. You'll find out very soon. All of a sudden, all the boys from Jin Xiu started howling with excitement. Ow 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 io. Damn. Chu Feng, have you been hiding her? So you've been acting so weird today not because you're heartbroken but because you're in love and couldn't get your girlfriend off your mind. No wonder this guy kept looking at the spectators stand just now. Girl, don't be fooled by this guy's looks. Everybody shut up. Chu Feng stared at those people furiously. I'm going to head back now, my friend's still waiting for me, Jiang Yanran said. Chu Feng was reluctant and asked nervously, then? I'll see you later? The machem, Jiang Yanran nodded. Hearing this Chu Feng's heart finally returned to his body after looping around the earth once. She remembered. Tonight's date is still on. Compared to the noise and teasing at Jin Xiu, the atmosphere over at Qing He was eerily quiet. Almost everybody's gaze was on Song Zihang. After all, he still flattered himself and thought that Jiang Yanran was looking for him just then. In the end, she was actually looking for Chu Feng. Wow. This is so juicy. Jiang Yanran and Chu Feng? Since when did the two of them know each other? Although this is a shock, I think they're pretty compatible. This is my first time seeing Chu Feng so shy. Haha, too cute. They're definitely compatible. Anyway, they both come from families of equal status. I heard that Chu Feng comes from a good family too. I thought that once Jiang Yanran was dumped, she wouldn't be able to get up. Who knew that she would find someone else in a flash? You guys were worried about nothing. With Jiang Yanran's qualities, when has she been unable to get what she wants? As for Song Zihang, I think he's blind. Song Zihang watched as Jiang Yanran brought water for the other boy and even helped him wipe his sweat off affectionately. He was so mad that his face turned black. The discussions swirling around him made his face turn even uglier. When Jiang Yanran walked past them, Song Zihang strode over and stopped her. Jiang Yanran, what's the meaning of this? This damned woman. She actually dared to embarrass me in front of so many people. What? Jiang Yanran frowned. At this moment, Song Zihang's face was so gloomy to the point where it looked threatening. You said you liked me, but all of a sudden, you're together with that gigolo from the next school. Don't tell me you were flirting around with him before you confessed to me? Jiang Yanran let out a cold laugh. So what if I did? So what if I didn't? What does who I like and flirt with got to do with you? The people around started laughing. After all, what Jiang Yanran said made sense. Both of them had nothing to do with each other from the start. Wasn't that what a certain someone said previously when he tried to defend Shin Mengqi's honor? Song Zihang was so furious that he almost lost his mind, and he blurted out without thinking, "Don't forget that we were engaged, but you actually went behind my back? Engaged? When were we engaged?" We? Song Zihang was about to retort back, but after looking at Shin Mengqi, he suddenly shut his mouth. After all, he had just recently made a post stating that he had nothing to do with Jiang Yanran and that the engagement didn't exist. If he admitted there was one, wouldn't he be shooting himself in the foot? Jiang Yanran, think of the consequences of your actions. Song Zihang suppressed the fire in his stomach forcefully. Consequences? You'll find out very soon. Jiang Yanran grinned and left without looking back. Chapter 136. Did you drink chicken's blood? After she returned to her seat, Jiang Yanran almost collapsed. Yi Wanwan had a gratified expression on her face as if her daughter had just grown up. Awesome. You were great. Thanks, it's because you've taught me well, Jiang Yanran smiled bitterly. She was surprised too. She didn't expect that one day she'd be able to speak to Song Zihang with this tone and attitude. Shortly after, the 15-minute break ended and the next half of the match started. The whistle blew and the atmosphere in the court was suddenly tense. Everyone noticed that the atmosphere in this half of the match was different. The smell of smoke was stronger and there were sparks of anger everywhere. Song Zihang glanced at Chu Feng scornfully. His teammate next to him gave a disdainful expression as well. He just has more stinking money at home, right? What a useless bum. That's right. He plays like shit. And still dares to snatch a girl from our boss. Chu Feng didn't care about those people mocking him. He looked at his teammates and said, "Later on, all of you should pass the ball to me." The guy with blonde hair wailed, "Then won't we be getting a big fat 0? If we lose, I'll treat the team for an entire month. Damn, an entire month. Grab hold of the tyrant's big golden thigh. 1. You said it yourself. Everyone, remember to pass him the ball later. No problem. Very soon, everybody started running at top speed on the court. The captain of Jin Xiu snatched the ball from the forward player from Qing He and threw it over to Chu Feng swiftly. He was really afraid that Chu Feng would miss it again, but thankfully, he caught it this time. But then, Qing He's players advanced on Chu Feng and he was forced to the edge of the three-point line. Song Zihang sniggered and went to snatch the ball from Chu Feng while his teammates guarded him. Once he had the ball, he'd definitely get it in. However, just as he was about to grab the ball, Chu Feng took a step back and tossed the ball as hard as he could. Everybody's eyes followed the ball and after a few seconds, wow, it went in. A three-point shot. The entire court roared in cheers. It had only been 3 minutes since the match started and they actually scored, not to mention it was a three-pointer. Everybody was caught off guard. They didn't even manage to see what Chu Feng did as everything happened in a flash. Beautiful. Senior Chu Feng's awesome. He was lucky, what's there to be happy about? The players of Qing He spat. There was a 17-point gap from the previous half, so they weren't worried at all. But from that point onwards, they couldn't be so relaxed anymore. Everybody on the Jin Xiu basketball team passed the ball over to Chu Feng and like a totally different person, Chu Feng didn't miss a single shot. As long as he got the ball, it went in every time. It was as if his accuracy was due to the basketball hoop sucking up every ball he shot. Towards the end, Qing He was beaten to the point where they didn't have the energy to retaliate. The spectators were stunned. They realized only then that Chu Feng actually had a hidden talent. The captain of the Jin Xiu basketball team put his arm around Chu Feng's neck excitedly. "Goddamn, bastard. Did you drink chicken's blood instead of water just now?" Chu Feng looked towards the spectator stand. "What do you know?" It was the water from Yen Ran. Immortal water. In the blink of an eye, the current score was 0-17. Qing He didn't get a single point. With such a big gap, their scores had already tied and only half the time had passed in the second half of the game. Chapter 137. Big Brother's Gift. However, this was just the beginning. In the next half, Jin Xiu continued to splendidly thrash the other team, almost entirely due to Chu Feng alone. The screams coming from girls cheering Chu Feng almost broke through the roof. There was only a minute left until the end of the match. The current score was a scary 0-24. Qing He still hadn't scored a single point while Jin Xiu had already overtaken Qing He by 7 points. It was impossible to score 7 points within a minute. Qing He was definitely going to lose. On the court, everybody was celebrating Jin Xiu's victory. Certainly, at the final moment, the ball landed in Chu Feng's hands again. Qing He's players were totally beaten down and had completely given up struggling. "Stop him!" Song Zihang yelled in anger. Even if he was going to lose, he couldn't lose with 0 points. Song Zihang, couldn't lose face to this guy. Everybody didn't have a choice but to pick themselves up and try to stop Chu Feng. Under the gaze of every spectator and player from Qing He, Chu Feng spun the ball in his hands leisurely and did a sudden move that nobody expected. He changed his direction unexpectedly, ran towards the basketball hoop of his own team and scored. The whistle blew and it was the end of the match. Qing He's team got 2 points. Under the astonished gaze of everyone, Chu Feng walked to Song Zihang casually and said, "These 2 points are Big Brother's gift to you, you're welcome." His own shot that Chu Feng threw into his own hoop on purpose gave Song Zihang 2 points. Being ridiculed in front of so many people, Song Zihang's face contorted with anger and he almost stormed over but was stopped by his teammates. After a moment of silence, there were cheers from the entire court. "Whoa! Senior Chu Feng's amazing." At the end, the scores for the second half of the match were 2-24. Qing He and Jin Xiu's final scores were 25-30. Even with such a big difference in points during the first half of the game, Jin Xiu caught up in the second half and won the entire match. At the spectator stand, Yi Wan heaved a sigh of relief. "That's more like it. At least your big sister didn't help you in vain." It was obvious that Chu Feng took revenge for Jiang Yanran on that final shot. Yi Wanwan turned to Jiang Yanran. What do you think? Are you happy? Jiang Yanran nodded. It was undeniable, the wind did let off some of her steam. On the court, Chu Feng was being thrown in the air by his excited teammates. There was a huge grin on his face. After he was let down, Chu Feng seemed to discuss something with his teammates. After that, he walked towards Jiang Yanran with the trophy. Standing right in front of Jiang Yanran, Chu Feng was at a loss once again. This is for you, Jiang Yanran was taken aback. For me. But this trophy belongs to the entire team, and anyway, I don't really have a use for this. Ah, you don't like it? I thought all of you girls would like this, but yeah, there isn't much use to this thing, sorry. Chu Feng's hung his head low instantly. Yi Wanwan smiled and shot a look at Jiang Yanran. How is it useless? It's for memory's sake. There are some people who wanted it but couldn't get it. Song Zihang glared ferociously at Jiang Yanran and Chu Feng, kicked the chair next to him, and left in a fit. After Jiang Yanran heard that, she looked at how disappointed Chu Feng was and recalled how hard he fought on the court to help her get back at Song Zihang. Finally, her heart softened. Well, thank you. Chu Feng instantly lit up like a flower blossoming in spring, and he looked at Yi Wanwan like she was Jesus. Yi Wanwan was speechless with the way he stared at her like a little deer with a pair of tearful, grateful eyes. She stood up. The match is over. I won't intrude on the both of you anymore. I'm heading back to the dorm. Chapter 138. Going back to feed the great devil. Jiang Yanran grabbed Yi Wanwan's elbow once she heard that. Aren't you coming with me? Yi Wanwan, why does it seem like Jiang Yanran's sticking to me more and more? Yi Wanwan replied helplessly, sorry dear, I have a date tonight. From today's observation, she thought that Chu Feng wasn't too shabby. Also, she was sure that he really liked Jiang Yanran, so she didn't mind continuing to match them up together. Date? Are you meeting your boyfriend? Yi Wanwan nodded. All right then. Jiang Yanran couldn't keep her any longer since she had a date. Chu Feng looked at Yi Wanwan with gratitude and said, hello, I'm so sorry that I haven't greeted you properly. You're a friend of Yanran's? Hello, I'm Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan did a simple self-introduction. Jiang Yanran continued the introduction. Wanwan is my best friend. Chu Feng was slightly surprised as he looked at Yi Wanwan. So you're Yi Wanwan? I've heard a lot about you. Yi Wanwan chuckled softly. Oh, I'm sure you've heard all about my bad reputation. Chu Feng said seriously, it's only after meeting you that I found out you're completely different from the rumors. We can't trust them. You've only met me once and spoke a few words to me though? How do you know that I'm completely different from the rumors? Yi Wanwan murmured. Obviously because you're Jiang Yanran's friend. Chu Feng looked as if that went without saying. Yi Wanwan raised her brows. I thought you were a fool at first. I couldn't tell that you're actually quite the smooth talker. When Chu Feng heard that, his face turned red instantly and Jiang Yanran looked somewhat uncomfortable. Watching these two teenagers innocently in love, Yi Wanwan inexplicably felt really old. After she bid farewell to Jiang Yanran and Chu Feng, Yi Wanwan returned to the dorm. After she had removed her makeup and showered, she opened her textbook. At this time, not only did she cram the high school syllabus, she also read through the university textbook. She wasted 2 years of her time since she was held back in high school, so she had to get those 2 years back. Once she successfully entered Imperial City's media school, she was determined to skip a couple grades and finish her studies within the shortest possible time frame. At the same time, she closely monitored the trends in the entertainment industry so she'd be able to grab hold of any opportunities that came by. If she remembered correctly, one of the big-name actors in the entertainment industry would encounter their first extremely damaging PR crisis, resulting in them leaving the industry. The company that he was in also suffered great losses, and she happened to know how to bring him back from the point of no return. If she used that opportunity wisely, that'd be a good starting point for her. Her greatest setback in her previous life, other than Si-Han holding her back, boiled down to the fact that she was too weak, both physically and psychologically. After studying for some time, Yi Wanwan checked the time on her phone, closed her textbook and prepared to head to Jean Garden. Although she only said it as an excuse to Jiang Yenran so she wouldn't have to be a third wheel, it also reminded her that she should go back and check on Si Han. She had to strike when the iron's hot and use this chance while she and Si Han were still on good terms. Otherwise, the effectiveness would be very low if she kept responding only when forced. After all, she'd be graduating soon. By then, she'd be busier and many things would exceed the boundaries that Si Han laid out for her. If she didn't deal with Si Han, it'd be difficult for her to proceed. After she left the school entrance, she bought 5 big meat buns from the exceptionally popular store along the way and prepared to feed them to the Great Devil. Chapter 139. A surprise turned into a scare. An hour later, the cab stopped in the nearby Jean Garden. To Yi Wanwan's devastating discovery, she had finished 4 of the buns that she brought for Si Han. There was only 1 left when she arrived at Jean Garden, and she tried very hard to resist the temptation to devour it. I have to walk faster and save this last one. In order to create a surprise, Yi Wanwan didn't tell anybody that she was coming back. Instead, she sneaked in from the back door of the little garden. It was only when she was about to arrive that a sudden realization hit her. What if Si Han's not home today? Yi Wanwan contemplated this as she strolled across the yard and continued walking. There was only a little light turned on in the living room. The light was quite dim, but since there was a light on, there should be someone home. Thus, Yi Wanwan quickened her pace and walked in the direction of the living room. Then, just as she reached the big glass door and prepared to push the door open to enter, her pupils contracted and she paused. But, come here. There's the smell of blood in the air. It's getting thicker and thicker. So thick that it's making me nauseous. It was coming from the living room. What's going on? There was a thick curtain over the glass door, so she had no way of looking into the living room. Just as Yi Wanwan's nerves were extremely tense, a heart-wrenching shout came from the living room suddenly. Kill me! Si Han! Just kill me! In the late of night, that shrill voice made her hair stand on end. Yi Wanwan was motionless and didn't dare to move an inch. She carefully peeped into the living room through the crack of the glass door. From her angle, she could only see a winding trail of blood all over the floor, seeping into the pure white carpet. Following the trail of blood, she saw Si Han sitting on the sofa. He had on a modestly expensive, tailored, dark-colored suit. The watch on his wrist exuded a cold luminosity, and next to his legs laid a white tiger, its hair as white as snow. The white tiger had its eyes closed lazily, like it was asleep, but was unable to conceal the deadly aura of a beast emitting from its body, as if he might tear his prey apart anytime. On Si Han's right was Su Yi, and on his left was a teenager in a black shirt. A few steps away from Si Han, a man was rolling around in convulsions on the floor with his entire body soaked in blood. There wasn't a good piece of meat left on the guy, and the area around his knees was bleeding nonstop. 2 solid things at the side had some meat attached to them, which seemed like the 2 knee bones extracted from the man. Under the screams of the man that caused one's scalp to tingle, the man on the sofa had an inhumane expression on his face. His thin lips moved slightly, letting out an emotionless voice. Continue. Following Si Han's order, the teenager in the black shirt moved forward, raised his knife and cut down without hesitation. Yi Wanwan was so scared that she shut her eyes. She didn't witness anything, but just by the shrill howl of the man, she could imagine the torture he was under. Si Han. You're inhumane. You beast. Monster. The blood of the Si family flows in me. I'm your blood brother. How could you treat me like this? You actually dared to do this to me. Yi Wanwan's heart started pounding hard. What? This man is Si Han's blood brother? Which one? Judging by his age, he couldn't be Si Xiao's father. Chapter 140. Are you hungry? Si Han. You'll get your retribution. Don't think that I don't know. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, even 6th and 7th brothers, all died in your hands. I'm telling Grandma. I'm telling all the elders in the Si family, they won't let you off, they'll never let you off. The man was already incapable of walking. He kept shouting insanely while crawling forward bit by bit. Si Han didn't stop him. He simply watched in silence as the man struggled in vain with his last breath. The man had already crawled to the door and reached out to open it. At that moment, a white shadow pounced over at lightning speed. The malicious tiger bit down on the man's neck instantly. His neck was as crooked as a kite with a broken string, and his blood spewed all over the living room like a flower blossoming, accompanied by the crackling sounds of the tiger gnawing on the bones. This scene was far too horrifying, even for the Yi Wanwan who had lived 2 lives. Yi Wanwan finally couldn't hold it in anymore as she let out a scream from the door of the garden. At the same time, the glass door she was hiding behind was pushed open while she was still in shock. In the next second, she was met with a pair of eyes that could freeze her blood, and she saw the living room akin to hell clearly. Su Yi, who was standing next to Si Han, was dumbfounded when he saw her. His face seized with terror. "Why are you here? I'm finished. Why would Yi Wanwan suddenly appear here? Isn't she supposed to be in school?" The teenager in black, who stood on the other side of Si Han, looked condescendingly at Yi Wanwan, who was totally pale. He furrowed his brows with a look of disgust and disdain. Yi Wanwan's stomach turned. Her relationship with Si Han had been good recently, which actually made her view this devil as a human for once. Oh, Si Han. How could he ever be a normal human being? If he was, she wouldn't have been so desperate to leave him in her previous life. Gu Yuze saying that Si Han was violent, ruthless, and bloodthirsty was an understatement. To this day, she could remember the first time she witnessed him murdering someone. It wasn't any less bloody than this. That time, she was so scared that she called him a devil and cried, asking him to let her go. She acted like a lunatic. She even used all kinds of vicious words to curse him. After causing a ruckus for half a month and falling very ill, she wasn't able to change anything and was forced to witness another bloody scene until she only had a faint breath of life left. Then he let her off. With so many memories flooding back, Yi Wanwan's head started to hurt. However, all these memories flashed past for only a second or two. Yi Wanwan quickly calmed herself down, patted away the dust on her body, stood up and picked up her school bag. With the plastic bag in her hand, step by step, she walked towards Si Han without looking anywhere else. Facing the fearful Su Yi, the teenager with a cold expression, the blood-covered floor under her feet, and the sound of the white tiger crushing the bones of the human. Finally, she reached Si Han. She passed the bag of meat buns to him. "Hey, are you hungry? I bought some really good buns on the way back here." Chapter 141. Are you scared? On the sofa, the man's eyes became increasingly gloomy and he had an unwavering severity on his chiseled face. He looked like a demon walking out from the depths of hell, especially on this dark, blood-filled night. With the white tiger's deep roar and Si Han's presence, the room was completely icy without any warmth at all. At this moment, Su Yi was soaked in sweat. He never expected that Yi Wanwan would come over, and the worst thing was that she actually witnessed what happened. He made a grave mistake in not noticing the presence of Yi Wanwan and allowing her to enter just like that. "I'm so dead." Su Yi's entire body trembled. His heart was burnt to ashes. However, at this moment, he saw Yi Wanwan walking directly to the master and overheard her asking, "Are you hungry?" Su Yi looked at Yi Wanwan with enlarged eyes, thinking that he was hallucinating. What did I just hear? Presented with this situation, Yi Wanwan's only reaction was to ask whether the master was hungry, whether he wanted a bun. And she even said it in a tone like it was a regular, jolly day. Shouldn't Yi Wanwan have gone berserk and run away, screaming and yelling? The strong scent of blood mixed together with the smell of meat from the buns was revolting. Su Yi looked at Yi Wanwan and then turned to look at the master on the sofa. It was as if he was dreaming. The aloof teenager standing on the other side of Si Han narrowed his eyes and looked at Yi Wanwan with a hint of warning in his eyes. Yi Wanwan didn't have the energy to care about his reaction. She focused on Si Han alone. She could see him staring at her with his dark pupils. His scrutinizing gaze seemed to peer through her soul, causing a chill to creep up her spine. After some time in the suffocating silence, Si Han glanced at the lonely bun in her hand and finally asked, "Are you scared?" Yi Wanwan was shocked, and she quickly replied in a firm tone without hesitation, no. Even though that was what she said, her heart was actually about to fall apart. She really didn't know where Si Han found the courage to ask her this question. Am I scared? If I wasn't scared, would I even be considered a normal human being? However, she had endured such a painful end in her previous life because of her fear. This time, even if she was extremely afraid, she couldn't show it to Si Han. Otherwise, if this scene was replayed, she might not be able to maintain her composure. Si Han's temperament was far too volatile and enigmatic. In her previous life, she never knew which action or comment she accidentally made that infuriated him. In this life, she still couldn't understand this man. But she could use her experience from her previous life to prevent herself from doing anything that would enrage him. While Yi Wanwan nervously waited, Si Han looked at her for a few seconds with eyes as dark as black holes. She wasn't sure whether he believed her words. After a few seconds, the man pinched her chin with his chilly fingers and whispered in a low, hoarse voice, "Good girl. Judging by this, he's probably satisfied with my reply and performance. Even if he doesn't believe me, he doesn't seem to mind. I took the right gamble." Yi Wanwan's tensed nerves instantly relaxed. It was as if she had just gone through a near-death situation. Chapter 142. Wasn't easy to put up a strong front. Roar, just as Yi Wanwan relaxed, an earth-shattering growl of a tiger suddenly resounded from somewhere close behind her. The vibration was so strong that even the floor shook. Yi Wanwan, who had just claimed that she wasn't afraid, was so scared out of her wits that she immediately pounced onto Si Han. Si Han, who was being pounded on the chest by the girl with the buns. Soon, after Yi Wanwan regained her senses, she glanced at Si Han, embarrassed. She then followed by glaring at the white tiger who had its snow-white fur stained with fresh blood and was charging towards her ferociously and roaring continuously at her. She was fuming mad. Damn it! Why is it roaring at me all of a sudden? I managed to keep it together for so long but all my efforts just went to waste. It wasn't easy to put up a strong front. When the white tiger saw Yi Wanwan jumping onto Si Han, it stopped moving but still paced around the sofa as it stared at Yi Wanwan in a hostile manner. Its gaze was exactly the way you would look at an intruder. This white tiger was Si Han's pet that he kept in Jean Garden. The Jean Garden was surrounded by a big dense forest, and white tigers often roamed around the forest by themselves. The white tiger's name was Si Lu Te, which translated to slaughtered in English. You'd know it was a fearsome beast and not some tame house cat just going by its name. In her previous life, Yi Wanwan hated and feared this white tiger almost as much as how she felt towards Si Han. However, after she was reborn, although she just saw it breaking the man's neck and roaring like a beast, she didn't have a deep hatred and revulsion towards it. Instead, she felt a sense of nostalgia and guilt. Previously, it was this white tiger that saved her life countless times. In order to block the path of people chasing after her, it got trapped. She witnessed the white tiger being murdered by those people till its final breath, all while trying to protect her. Yi Wanwan suddenly became teary-eyed. In the eyes of Si Han, he probably thought she was in tears from the fright. Certainly, a sneer came from her side. It was the black-shirt teenager who had carried out the execution, Ming Luing. As the saying goes, enemies are bound to meet. This teenager looked quite young, but he was secretly the most formidable expert by Si Han's side. His methods were ruthless, many deplorable incidents were settled by him. Just like before, Luing hated this pest by Si Han's side to the point where he didn't hesitate to offer to kill her before. Yi Wanwan's relationship with him was as incompatible as fire with water. Si Han looked at the girl who had her arms and legs wrapped around him. His gaze paused for a moment and then he stretched his broad palms out and patted her head. He then narrowed his eyes and looked at the white tiger, Si Lu Te. The white tiger heard the master's warning. The eyes of the feral beast were filled with a sinister scarlet glint and it roared softly. The way it looked at Yi Wanwan was as if he was ready to tear her apart the next second. Both man and tiger confronted each other like that for quite a long time. After many minutes had passed, the white tiger finally left grudgingly under the master's stare. Even this white tiger was unable to dominate Si Han, so it was hard to blame Yi Wanwan for being so fearful of him in her previous life. But she only found out a long while later that sometimes a person's heart was much scarier than a beast's. After the white tiger left, Si Han looked at Su Yi. Go receive your own punishment. Su Yi, who was in a daze, immediately replied, yes. He already knew that this was the best outcome. Yi Wanwan had saved everyone with her "Are you hungry?" question and also saved herself in the process. This was probably just her abnormal reaction after getting such a huge scare. Otherwise, how could a person have such a drastic change in nature? Chapter 143. A late-night call at an exquisite club in Imperial City. Late at night, a slightly plump middle-aged man's expression changed after he picked up a call. He dashed out in a hurry. The man's hands trembled as he made a call. Xia Xia, we're in trouble. A lazy teenager's voice came through the receiver. What is it? I've just heard that your fifth uncle landed in Si Han's hands. The teenager sighed. Tisk, useless. The middle-aged man wiped his sweat while speaking nervously. Xia Xia, you have to quickly think of a way to get him out. The teenager sounded annoyed. I don't want to waste my time on a useless bum. Anyway, you think we can help by going over now? We won't even be able to find a single bone, much less his corpse. Then what should we do now? Are we going to just leave him to die? Obviously, we can't let him off so easily. At Jean Garden, after Su Yi received his orders and was about to clean up the scene with Lu Ying, a phone started ringing suddenly. Su Yi looked at the caller ID and panicked suddenly. Master, old madam's calling. Si Han's gaze darkened. Answer it. Su Yi nodded and then turned on the loudspeaker. Hello, old madam. It's so late, is everything all right? The displeased voice of the old madam came through the receiver. Su Yi, get little ninth to the phone. Su Yi turned to Si Han nervously. Si Han raised his outstretched hand. Su Yi went over swiftly, passed the phone over to Si Han and made eye contact with Lu Ying. Both of them looked uneasy. Grandma, little ninth, why haven't you been picking up? Tell me honestly, where are you and what are you doing right now? The old lady questioned him. Obviously, she'd received some news. Su Yi and Lu Ying broke out in cold sweats when they heard the old madam's questions. The old madam was against the brothers fighting with one another. If she found out what happened tonight, the consequences would be dire. Jean Garden. Si Han answered. Let me ask you, did your fifth brother? The old lady hasn't finished speaking when Yi Wanwan leaned her head over impatiently and asked Si Han, is that grandma on the phone? When the raging old madam heard Yi Wanwan's voice, she was stunned. A brief moment later, she asked in a surprised tone, Wanwan? Grandma? It's me. Yi Wanwan heard grandma calling her name and out of respect, she rushed over to the phone to greet her. She mouthed to Si Han, hurry, let me speak to grandma. Si Han looked at her, deep in thought, then passed the phone to her. Lu Ying's face changed when he saw that Si Han had simply passed such an important call over to Yi Wanwan, but it was too late for him to stop Si Han. What if this woman says something wrong? I can't imagine the consequences. Grandma, it's me, it's Wanwan. Yi Wanwan immediately said it in the sweetest voice, after she got the phone. Hearing Yi Wanwan's voice, the old madam's tone became much warmer, but there was still a hint of suspicion. Wanwan, you're at Little 9Ths? Don't you live on campus? Yi Wanwan replied, slightly embarrassed, I missed him a bit so I came back. The old madam sounded pleased and asked, what were you and Little Ninth doing? Each time the old madam asked a question, Su Yi and Lu Ying's heart rates rose by a fraction, afraid that Yi Wanwan would say something wrong. There were murderous intentions brewing in Lu Ying's eyes, and he was ready to kill this woman if she dared to say anything wrong. Su Yi wasn't feeling much better either. Without exaggeration, all of their lives were in the hands of Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan wasn't the master after all, she didn't have that kind of quality. Even if she didn't mention the scene in front of them, the old madam with her sharpness would surely find out what happened if she picked up even a slight difference in Wanwan's voice. Chapter 144. So stupid, is she retarded? Su-yi was worried and took a glimpse at Si-han. In the end, he saw that his master looked nonchalant, as if this was just an ordinary call from his family. As the saying goes, the emperor's calm while the eunuch's completely anxious. Under the watchful gaze of Su-yi and Lu-ying, Yi Wanwan replied, "Eating buns. I brought back some buns from the store selling really good ones near my school entrance. They're really delicious." The old madam over the phone was silent for a while, like she was assessing her response. After a brief moment, she finally heaved a sigh of relief and said lovingly, "Wanwan, you like eating buns? Come over to Grandma's place next time and I'll make them for you. I guarantee that they're tastier than the ones you bought." Yi Wanwan said eagerly, "Thanks, Grandma. Then can I come over next week?" The old madam was very glad. Sure. Of course you can. You can come over anytime. Grandma can't wait for you to come over." When the old lady finished speaking, she called out through the phone, "Little Ninth." Yi Wanwan quickly returned the phone to Si-han. But Si-han didn't hold the phone and simply moved closer to the receiver. "I'm here. Little Ninth, you must be nice to Wanwan. Don't be mean to someone else's daughter. You can show a black face to other people every day, but you can't be like that to your girlfriend. Also, Wanwan's still young and growing and senior years very taxing. You have to help replenish her nutrition. I know. Don't just tell me you know. You have to change all your bad habits and bad temper too." Yi Wanwan nodded repeatedly as she listened. "Grandma, you're truly like my real grandmother." The old lady nagged at Si-han for a long time before hanging up finally. When the living room had regained its silence, Su-yi and Lu-ying both heaved a sigh of relief. A crisis was averted simply by Yi Wanwan's trial and error. If it wasn't for Yi Wanwan, even if the master had denied what had happened, the old lady would still be suspicious. There wasn't the slightest difference in Yi Wanwan's tone from beginning to end, even under pressure from this kind of situation. She must either have incredible abilities or she's stupid. So stupid that she might truly be retarded. No need to guess, it must be the latter. After that, Lu-ying and Su-yi cleaned up the bloody scene swiftly. Very soon, everything returned to normal, as if the bloody scene was just an illusion. Actually, Yi Wanwan felt relieved as well. "I passed the test tonight, right? I even covered for Si-han and got credit for it." After Su-yi and Lu-ying left, there was only Yi Wanwan and Si-han left in the room. "Why'd you come?" Si-han looked at her and asked. Yi Wanwan replied, "My roommate went on a date and made me want to see you." "Oh right, I have a new roommate now. Her name is Jiang Yenran." Chapter 145. Isn't that for me? Si-han looked at her intensely, like he was surprised that she was able to detect this kind of situation with her level of intelligence. Yi Wanwan was so nervous that she kept yakking on and finally changed the subject. Si-han never brought up what had just happened and didn't seem suspicious of her unusual attitude. "I don't want to know anything about what just happened. The more I know, the more danger I'll be in." Yi Wanwan spoke till her mouth was dry, and only then did she stop. How is it so late already? I'm heading back to my room to go to bed. Gotta be up early tomorrow for school." He fixed his gaze on her in silence for a few seconds. After some time, he finally said, "Go on." After she got his approval, it was as if she'd received amnesty. Yi Wanwan leaned over to kiss him and said goodnight before heading up. Alas, she had taken only a few steps before she heard his deep voice behind her. "Wait." Yi Wanwan's back suddenly stiffened and she clenched her fist subconsciously as she turned around slowly. What is it?" Si-han didn't speak and reached his hand out to her. Yi Wanwan stared at his bony hand, unsure what he meant. "What? Isn't that for me?" His gaze paused for a second at her hand. Yi Wanwan followed his line of sight and looked down. Then, she saw the bun inside the plastic bag and was stunned for a while before regaining her senses and quickly replied, "Yes, it's for you, it's for you." She immediately hopped over and gave him the bun. Then, she stared at it as she swallowed her saliva. "I thought that he'd forgotten about it and I could have it all to myself." Although these buns were for Si-han, she developed feelings for it after traveling with it for such a long time. She remembered that during puberty, Her appetite became bigger and bigger and she became extremely protective of her food. Once, her brother ate her bag of chips by accident and she chased him down and beat him up. Si-Han looked up at her unwilling face. "What's wrong?" Yi Wan stared at the bun. "It's a little cold, do heat it up before eating it." Seeing that she hadn't left, he asked, "Is there anything else?" Cough, no. I'm leaving." Yi Wan quickly rushed upstairs like she was afraid that she'd go back on her words. "Cry goodbye, my bun, my love." Si-Han watched as she wiggled into her room. His gaze then landed on the bun in his hands and kept his gaze there for a long time. After she returned to her bedroom, Yi Wan sent a text to Jiang Yanran informing her that she wouldn't be returning to the dorm that night so she didn't have to worry about disturbing her if she came back late. I really can't imagine what the first date would be like for these two innocently in love children. After she sent the text, Yi Wan showered again and scrubbed the stench of blood away. In the silence of the night, Yi Wan laid in bed and rolled around for a long time, unable to fall asleep. Eventually, Yi Wan got up and took out a bag of beef jerky and dried pork slices from her school bag. Then she went downstairs quietly. The living room was still. She tiptoed and slowly scanned every corner of the room to look for it. In the end, she couldn't find it at all. Maybe it went back to the forest? Just as Yi Wan was prepared to return to her bedroom in disappointment, suddenly, she noticed a ball of something on the white carpet in front of the sofa. It's Si Lu Te. Damn. This guy, he could have laid anywhere but chose to lie on the white carpet. His snow-white fur completely blends in. No wonder I had such trouble looking for him. Chapter 146, Great White is so cute. After she found her target, Yi Wan's eyes lit up and immediately ran over with the dried meat. The moment she strode down the stairs, the white tiger, which was initially laying on the carpet, twitched its ears instantly and opened its eyes, an aura of death emanating from its blue pupils. Being stared at with a pair of eyes like this was disturbing. Thankfully, she'd already experienced this in her previous life. She understood this white tiger very well and knew that although it was extremely ferocious by nature, it acted like a human in some ways. Si-Han had interacted with her that evening, which implied that she was one of their own people, so no matter how fierce it would never harm her. Under the fearsome gaze of the tiger, Yi Wan shuffled towards it. She could feel the aggression and caution in the beast's eyes increasing as she moved closer. Yi Wan didn't get too close. She stopped when she was about 4 to 5 steps away. She opened the bag of dried pork slices and waved them around. Si Lu Te? Do you want them? They're really delicious dried pork slices. When she waved her hand, the white tiger immediately bared its teeth and roared in danger. You don't like them? Yi Wan then reluctantly opened the only bag of beef jerky she had. What about beef jerky? This is really good. Roared, the white tiger, which was on its fours, suddenly stood up, leaned its body forward and let out a fierce roar at her. Even though she was sure it wouldn't harm her, it was inevitable that her human instincts would still lead her to be scared while facing such a huge beast. Yi Wan was so frightened that her heart stopped pumping. But she really didn't want to give up. Thus, she plucked up her courage and continued moving forward. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. When she was only a step away from the white tiger, an earth-shaking roar from the huge tiger resounded through the skies of Jean Garden. Yi Wan's ears started ringing as she fell to the ground. She finally experienced what it was like when the earth trembles and mountains sway. Very quickly, the big door was slammed open and Sui rushed in. What happened? There were footsteps from above as well. Si-Han looked towards the living room with furrowed brows. All he saw was Yi Wan sitting in front of the white tiger with all sorts of colorful bags scattered on the floor. Also, the white tiger seemed to be agitated and looked like it was about to go berserk. Missy, what's going on here? Sui looked at this scene and was completely stupefied. Why did Yi Wan provoke Si Lu Te in the middle of the night? Is she courting death? Si-Han turned to look at Yi Wan as well. Yi Wan went over to Si-Han with an aggrieved expression and complained, Great White snapped at me, sob Sui. Who the hell is Great White? Si Han was silent for a few seconds. What were you doing? I just wanted to give my snacks to Great White. Great White's so cute, I wanted to play with it. Yi Wanwan looked at the huge white tiger which was still roaring fiercely at her and suddenly felt even more upset. Su Yi was about to break down. What the hell does she mean by cute? Si Han wrinkled his brows. Stay far away from it. Yi Wanwan glanced at the huge white tiger's furry head, then looked at its furry and meaty body and simply couldn't resist. Can I play with it? I'll just stroke its head, or its claws. Can I? Sui, you actually want to touch it? Touch its head and claws. He was completely speechless with the woman before him. It's true that a certain courage comes with ignorance. Chapter 147. Speechless, no, there was no room for negotiation with the way Si Han responded. Yi Wanwan was unconvinced. Why not? Si Han looked at her indifferently and replied, forced love doesn't last. Yi Wanwan was speechless. She simply couldn't refute that. She never expected that one day she'd be slapped in the face by something she said herself. Fine. Yi Wanwan glared at Si Han like he was a bad person and then ran away in a huff. One day, she turned Great White into a sweet melon. She believed she could do it. After Yi Wanwan left, Su Yi sighed worriedly. Ninth Master, should we ban Si Lu Te from Jean Garden? What if it harms Ms. Yi? Si Han thought about it and looked in the direction of her retreating figure. No need. At the barbecue stall outside the entrance of Qinghe, it was already late at night, but the stall was still buzzing with people. A group of big burly boys sat around a big table and were drinking and chatting. Big boss, don't be angry. That gigolo isn't worth it. His family is only powerful now. Lately, the real estate business hasn't been doing so well, so they might go bust someday. Unlike your family, big boss, they don't have a big project with the government. That's billions in profit. That's right, that's right. That Jiang Yen Ran's a bimbo, leaving such an outstanding guy like Big Boss for a gigolo. I think Jiang Yen Ran's just using that gigolo to provoke you. Yes, that must be it. Song Zihang had been filled with anger all the way from the basketball court to the stall, but after he heard all this, he was slightly appeased. Just as he was about to speak, his phone rang. My dad's calling, I'm going to answer it. You guys go ahead and drink first. A call from Director Song. You better get it. Hurry and go, big boss. Song Zihang took his phone to a quiet spot, his tone somewhat excited. Hello, Dad? Is everything settled? Daddy Song sounded a little unhappy. Not yet, the 100 million from the Jiang family hasn't come through. What? Hasn't come through? I thought they said that they'd transfer it in the morning? Song Zihang's face changed. The Jiang family said there were some problems with their finances all of a sudden and couldn't transfer the money over. They'll need a few more days. The Jiangs are too unreliable, we discussed this months ago. How can there be a problem now? Do they know how much losses we would take because of their mistake? Song Zihang said, agitated. Mr. Song was obviously unhappy as well as he replied with a heavy sigh. All right, it's not a major problem. We'll get their payment by next week at the latest. Mr. Song paused and then asked, how are things between you and Yen Ran lately? Song Zihang felt slightly guilty and simply gave a shallow reply. How else could it be? Everything's the same. Mr. Song warned him sternly, make her happy in your free time, buy little gifts for her and shop with her. Don't be so nonchalant. Song Zihang's tone suddenly became a bit annoyed. I'm not the Jiang family's servant. Why should I give in to her, coax her or eat and play with her? Anyway, Dad, I've already told you that I like someone else. Nonsense. I've told you so many times that now is not the time for you to do what you want. You have to restrain yourself in times like this. Wait till our family becomes more powerful first. Then, wouldn't you be able to have any girl you wanted? If you can't even restrain yourself for such a small matter now, what can you accomplish in the future? You have to make Yen Ran happy, especially now. You hear me? Song Zihang's face darkened. After a long while, he gritted his teeth and replied, got it, I'll make her happy. That's my boy. Chapter 148. there's no such thing as a free lunch the next morning. Before heading to class, Yi Wanwan stopped by her dorm. Even before she took out her keys, the door was pulled open. Wanwan, you're back. Jiang Yanran stood by the door cheerfully. She probably heard Yi Wanwan's footsteps. Yi Wanwan was used to living alone, so having the door opened for her all of a sudden gave her a shock. Yeah. Come on, tell me, how was the date last night? Yi Wanwan couldn't wait to find out. Jiang Yanran hesitated before replying, I told Chu Feng the truth already. Yi Wanwan was taken aback. Huh? What did you tell him? I told him that it was your idea to ask him out, and initially, I more or less wanted to use him to provoke Song Zihang, but in the end, I couldn't go through with it, so I told him everything. With my current condition, I really can't dive into another relationship so fast, and this wasn't fair to him. Jiang Yanran answered. All right, Yi Wanwan sighed. With Jiang Yanran's character, she roughly guessed that this would happen. She didn't have high hopes that they'd get together so quickly anyway. That's okay, the two of you can still be friends. Chu Feng's a nice guy, you don't have to worry, Yi Wanwan consoled her. Yeah, Jiang Yanran nodded and said, oh right, my dad called me last night and said that they gave the excuse that their finances had some issues, so they weren't able to transfer money over to the songs. At the same time, they already secretly withdrew the funds from their collaborative projects. The songs weren't suspicious at all. Yi Wanwan laughed. There's no problem if Uncle Jiang handles things. You can stop worrying. Come on, let's go eat. The two of them spoke while packing their books and went downstairs. Just as they were about to enter the canteen to eat, they bumped into someone who made their stomachs turn. Song Zihang held soy milk and steamed dumplings in his hands as he blocked the path of the two of them suddenly. The unrelenting smile on his handsome face was very clear. He looked at Jiang Yanran and said, Yanran, you haven't had your breakfast, right? I bought it for you. You love the soy milk and steamed dumplings from Xiangman restaurant, don't you? Yi Wanwan raised her brows when she saw this. TSK, there's no such thing as a free lunch. He's probably doing this because the Song family felt uneasy, so they gave him a warning. Don't they know it's too late now? Upon seeing Song Zihang's surprisingly gentle expression, Jiang Yanran was put into a trance, but very quickly she turned cold. No, I don't. Their soy milk has a fishy smell and their steamed dumplings aren't good. Shen Mengqi's the one who likes them. Song Zihang froze. Oh, cough, is it now? I bought them for you once and I remember clearly that you said you like them. Jiang Yanran sneered in her heart. That was only because you bought breakfast for me on that rare occasion. How could I say that I didn't like it? Thinking back, he bought a lot of food that time and even asked her to share with the people in her dorm. It was obvious that he bought them specifically for Shen Mengqi. These two hooked up much earlier than I thought and even did it right in front of me. But I've already bought them. It's such a waste if you don't eat them, just take them. Song Zihang then shoved the breakfast into her hands. Yi Wanwan was speechless as she watched from the side. This is so insincere. Is he really trying to make things up to her? Does he think she's a garbage can? Or does he think that everybody's as stupid as he is? Chapter 149. Wooing girls. Yi Wanwan had texted Chu Feng when she saw Song Zihang coming from afar. As to whether or not he used this opportunity depended on his wits. Yi Wanwan looked up from her phone, glanced suspiciously at Song Zihang and mumbled, Captain Song, Yanran already said she doesn't like it. Why are you still forcing her to eat it? She's not a garbage can. When he heard that, he glared at Yi Wanwan with a darkened face. What garbage can? Ugly freak, don't come between us. I just don't want to waste the food. Song Zihang didn't bother any further with Yi Wanwan and continued with his sweet talk while suppressing his anger. Yanran, I know I went overboard with what happened before. But if you hadn't hurt Mengqi in the first place, I wouldn't have acted out. If I didn't speak up for Mengqi then, she would have been misunderstood and attacked by so many people. You and Mengqi are so close, could you let that happen? Jiang Yanran thought that she'd be heartbroken, but after hearing what he said, she became numb. She smiled slightly and replied, So you're fine with me being misunderstood and attacked? Song Zihang had never cared about Jiang Yanran. He thought that by being slightly nicer to her and appearing weaker, she'd definitely run back to him with tears of gratitude. Who knew that Jiang Yanran wouldn't give him the time of day at all? Thus, Song Zihang started to lose his patience. His expression was cold as he held the plastic bag in his hands, his tone somewhat condescending and annoyed. Yanran, I didn't expect all those replies. Anyway, they merely said some bad things about you but didn't cause much harm. Do you want to cut ties with me over such a small matter? Even though I forgot what you liked, I did give you a sincere apology. He said he was sincere, but his tone didn't have a trace of sincerity at all. While Song Zihang was busy giving his speech, suddenly, a figure rushed to them like the wind. All they saw was a tall and handsome boy with his forehead soaked with sweat before them. He bent down panting. Yanran, Chu Feng. Jiang Yanran was shocked to see Chu Feng with his shirt drenched in sweat. What's going on? I'm fine. I bought breakfast for you, but I wasn't sure what you like to eat, so I got a little of everything. Chu Feng didn't even have a hand to wipe his sweat. Both his arms were full of different-sized bags, up to his elbows. He went completely over the top. You'd think he was a food delivery boy. Judging by the packaging, Chu Feng also bought breakfast from Xiang Man restaurant, but he got almost everything on their menu. Compared to Chu Feng's tactics of wooing girls and sincerity, Song Zihang's cup of soy milk and box of steamed dumplings looked way too shabby. Sure enough, when Song Zihang saw Chu Feng, his face changed. And when he saw what he held in his hands, his face became as black as the underside of a pot. Jiang Yanran was stunned. But this is too much. How could I possibly finish so much? Chu Feng immediately replied. Just pick what you like and take it. Wouldn't that be very wasteful? No, I'll give the rest to the brats in class. It's their lucky day. Hurry, take your pick. Seeing the sweat on his face and nervousness in his eyes, Jiang Yanran couldn't bring herself to reject him. All right then, thank you. Chapter 150. The hideous face behind the mask. Don't mention it. Actually, I was just bored, so I went out to grab this stuff. Chu Feng then quickly turned to Yi Wanwan. Vanja, you pick some too. He's actually quite sweet when he calls me Jia. The corners of Yi Wanwan's lips curled up. I won't hold back then. The three of them happily split their breakfast and completely ignored Song Zihang. Song Zihang gripped the plastic bag in his hands tightly. He'd never felt so embarrassed in his life. With his face darkened and filled with fury, Jiang Yanran, I was wrong and couldn't tell that you're this sort of a person? So devoted and in love to my face but flirting behind my back. I heard Meng Qi say that after you moved in with this ugly freak, you were influenced by her. As the saying goes, he who lies down with dogs will rise with fleas. You ditched an amazing and kind roommate like Meng Qi to hang around this monster. No wonder you've become so shameless. Upon hearing what he said, Yi Wanwan raised her brows. He actually said Yanran was flirting around? He'll find out very soon what flirting around really means. Jiang Yanran turned pale instantly. She never imagined that the guy she liked for so many years would be this evil after his mask had been removed. What she couldn't tolerate the most was that he not only insulted her but Wanwan as well. Jiang Yanran was so angry that she started shaking. The boy next to her suddenly stepped forward and moved in front of her. He stared coldly at Song Zihang and said, An ungrateful brat like you has the right to criticize other people? Wanwanjia's grades topped the class. Her position is much further ahead of the White Lotus you've claimed. With Shen Mengqi's behavior, she still dares to insult other people? Who gave her that confidence? You didn't cherish the times Yanran was nice to you and you took her for granted. You took her sincerity and trampled on it and even hooked up with her friend, denying the engagement with her in front of the entire school, and now, you're blaming her for not allowing you to continue bullying and stepping over her. Who exactly gave you this hideous face? Upon hearing what Chu Feng said, Yi Wanwan was a little surprised. I couldn't tell that this guy, who stutters when he's talking to Yanran, has such a sharp tongue. Song Zihang's face contorted in anger. You? What about me? Just because you're blind doesn't mean that others are blind too. You're not even fit to carry Yanran's shoes. What kind of a man are you? You're not fit to be a human. A useless scumbag. Yi Wanwan was on the verge of giving him a round of applause. Chu Feng, you're dead meat. Song Zihang finally flew into a rage. He tossed the food in his hands aside and charged at him. Chu Feng quickly put his bags down and met him head-on, but since he was a little late, he was punched in the eye by Song Zihang and tottered backwards. Jiang Yanran screamed out, Chu Feng. On the other hand, Yi Wanwan was quite calm. This fight was bound to happen. No matter the outcome, Chu Feng had already won. Because the person Jiang Yanran was worried about was Chu Feng, not Song Zihang. Wanwan, what should we do? Song Zihang has been trained from a young age. Chu Feng's definitely at a loss here. Jiang Yanran exclaimed anxiously. Song Zihang's moves were ruthless, vicious, and fast. Judging by his stance, he must have had some professional training. While they were speaking, Chu Feng was beaten many times. Yi Wanwan frowned. Although it was good to let Yanran's heart ache slightly, being beaten up by Song Zihang was really a bit too depressing. But two girls couldn't help in this situation either, right? Yi Wanwan focused all her attention and looked closely. She found out where Song Zihang might be attacking next with his swift and ruthless moves, and also his weak points, which weren't hard to guess. Chapter 151. You're too weak, Yi Wanwan blurted out without thinking. Chu Feng, dodge. To your right. Chu Feng was stunned, but fortunately, he reacted quickly and immediately leaned to his right. Sure enough, he managed to dodge a punch from Song Zihang. Attack his left rib. Yi Wanwan continued. Song Zihang didn't block in time and his left rib was left wide open. He crouched down in pain after suffering a sudden blow from Chu Feng. Just as Song Zihang got back up, ready to attack Chu Feng's stomach, Yi Wanwan shouted again, your stomach. After a few minutes, Chu Feng, who was initially receiving all the punches, got the upper hand. No matter what moves Song Zihang made, he was able to dodge and return a punch. Song Zihang was filled with exasperation and he glared at Yi Wanwan as if he wanted to eat her up. Chu Feng, who's the one that's not worthy to be a man? A big guy like you has to rely on a woman to fight. Yi Wanwan put on an innocent face and muttered, oh, I'm just a girl spewing nonsense yet was able to get you beaten up like a pig. Captain Song, aren't you a little too weak? You? Song Zihang was fuming mad. It was unbelievable. Yi Wanwan was simply too strange. She was able to predict his next moves not once or twice, but every single time. Could it be that Yi Wanwan's also trained? She's a girl, how could that be? His father had spent a large sum of money to get him lessons with an internationally renowned master. Even if he learned only a bit, it was enough. How could Yi Wanwan possibly see through all his moves? At this moment, students started to gradually crowd around. Song Zihang was worried that if they continued, he would lose face in front of everyone. In the end, he could only stare bitterly at the three of them and walk away. Jiang Yanran, you'll regret this. After Song Zihang left in anger, Chu Feng wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth and walked over to Yi Wanwan excitedly. Wanwan, you're amazing. How could you predict his next moves like a mind reader? Jiang Yanran also looked at Yi Wanwan in amazement. Yi Wanwan coughed lightly. It's clearer from an onlooker's point of view. Song Zihang's skills are garbage. You guys would be able to tell too if you looked closely. Oh, the two of them didn't suspect a thing. You're bleeding. Jiang Yanran looked at the boy who had injuries on his mouth and eyes. Feeling guilty, she said, sorry for dragging you into this. Chu Feng scratched his head. His ears turned red and he returned to his usual silly self. Nah, I was useless and didn't protect you well. From today onwards, I'll train hard. Jiang Yanran didn't know what to say, so she said, I'll go with you to the school nurse. Chu Feng wanted to tell her not to trouble herself, but Yi Wanwan hinted at him with her eyes, so he swallowed his words and said, I'll have to trouble you then. Jiang Yanran turned to Yi Wanwan. Han, go eat your breakfast first. I'll go with Chu Feng to the nurse. Yi Wanwan waved, go on, go on. After Jiang Yanran and Chu Feng left, Yi Wanwan stood there looking slightly dazed and thought deeply. Actually, to those skilled and experienced fighters, it's easy to see through their opponent's tactics and moves. To people like this was as easy as 1 + 1 = 2, a natural instinct. That you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.